Good morning, everybody. It's midweek, it's Wednesday, and the 31st of March, the end of March. So, my goodness, time is kind of flying on, and we're just hoping things will really be looking up and be better for the rest of the year. But for now, why did I call Wednesday Why Wednesday? Well, in short, it's because we often know what to do, but we don't actually do it. So why? And why the clock image? No, it's not because the clocks moved forward, they moved forward going forward at the weekend, although they did, and I hope you remembered to do that. This topic resonated with me back in 2015 when I wrote a blog, because it's about procrastination. But I called the blog Positive Procrastination. And a bit of a misnomer, you think, but actually I have reposted the blog, so you can check it out as well. It's on my website, mindcircles.co.uk. So you can read about positive procrastination. And hi there, Lynn. So I hope reading this will help you to be or to be less or not frustrated and with yourself or beat yourself up if you don't get things done, or you don't get them done on time, hence the clock. Anyway, I mentioned there's a Latin word when posting, and I didn't give any hints, but the actual Latin word is akrasia. Now, this word literally translates to lack of self-control, but it's actually come to be used in general as a weakness of will, a weakness to kind of follow through. So where you act contrary to your own judgment as to what best to do. So really it's you maybe know what to do, you don't actually do it. So back to the topic. We know what we want to do, but we just don't do it. So you can see that you know what's best for you and what you should be doing, but you don't actually act. And this, it might be against your own judgment because you know you should be doing it. So 2 questions I hope to answer today in this video are: why don't you follow through on what you set out to do? So you know what to do, but why don't you follow through? And the second question is, what can you do about it? So some history, I thought it was interesting that going back to, it was 1830, it was Victor Hugo. He had a deadline for a book, but instead of writing the book, he spent his time delaying the work, doing other things. I'll say hi to Barbara as well. Good to chat to you last night, Barbara. So Victor Hugo had this deadline, but he just kept doing other things. It reminded me a bit about myself, doing other projects, even entertaining, getting himself really into the fun of things. And hi, Debbie. So with 6 months to go, he suddenly thought, I haven't written anything. So he knew he had to kind of knuckle down. So he had a plan. Now his plan, I'll just give a wee wave to Debbie there, his plan was a bit extreme, so maybe don't try it at home. But what he did was, he asked a friend to take all his clothes away. So he knew he'd have nothing to wear. He just left himself with a shawl or a blanket that he could put round himself. This meant he couldn't go outside, he couldn't entertain, he couldn't do anything. So the only thing left to do was write the book. And lo and behold, he completed the book within the deadline. So if you think you've been procrastinating, you're not alone. It's been going on for centuries. The ancient Greeks came up with the word akrasia to describe this kind of behaviour. So like everyone, you're surrounded by distractions of daily life. It's really the way we behave that holds us back from putting the tasks off. This is because we want immediate rewards. Think about this in practical terms. I've talked about setting goals. So short-term, medium and long-term goals. Now the purpose of setting goals is to think about what your life will be like if you achieve these goals. What would it be like in the future? However, you've got your goals, you've made your list. What happens when you move to the next step of taking action on your goals? Suddenly, you've got a decision to be made in the present, in that moment. And this means that instead of thinking about your life in the future and how you really want it to be, you want to feel good immediately. You want instant gratification. So you kind of look at your list and think, right, I don't really know where to start. So I've often asked you to make changes in your mindset through these videos. And I want you to change your mindset to positive rather than being negative. And of course, I give you a tip, like my ABC. I ask you to practice it regularly so it becomes your good habit. Now, I know, like many of you, you decide, just like your New Year resolutions, I'll change. I'm going to change, which is really going against what my ABC are, what my affirmations are. You're talking about the future. You're thinking, I will do that. I will do that. So in your mind, you're thinking, I'll go off to bed and I'll do that in the morning. So you feel all fired up and you're motivated and you think, right, I'm changing my life starting the next day. What happens? You waken up and you think, you even say to yourself, oh, I'll start tomorrow. And I bet many of you listening will understand and you'll be saying to yourself, yep, that's me. Now, just in case you didn't know, because often it comes, particularly at New Year time, you maybe think, right, New Year, this year is going to be different. Now, I know we've had a year of lockdown. We've come into the second year, the first half of this year. We're still wondering what's going to happen. But in your own mind at New Year, you were thinking, right, I'm going to make decisions for the better. I'm going to do the best for myself. And of course, that's the 1st of January. Yes, you might start on the 2nd and then you think, no, I don't need to get up. There's nothing to get up for. So all that goes by the wayside. Well, another wee bit of history here. I'm not sure if it's true, but I actually found this article that, do you know, before in the 16th century, New Year's Day used to be celebrated on the 27th of March. So in fact, you're actually not too late, really. But that was until 1599. That was the Scottish people. So of course in Scotland, we had New Year on the 27th of March. But 152 years later, it was England changed. And we both then became the 1st of January. So that's another piece of useless information. Anyway, so what do you do? What do you need to do to change this, to stop this procrastinating? Or turn it into something maybe more positive, more constructive. So the first tip is you need to have a commitment plan. You've got to be committed and dedicated to what you do. But it's kind of not enough just to say, I'm committed. You've got to be more proactive, have this plan, as Victor Hugo did. Get rid of all your clothes, right? So you can't go out, you can't do anything, you're stuck in the house and you have to do this task. Well, that's a bit extreme. So it depends, of course, on what your goal is. If it's to lose weight, your plan would be, right, your commitment plan would be create your shopping list with appropriate food and don't deviate from that. Make that your good habit. You might want to join Weight Watchers. So you might want to have a support group and that supports your commitment. If it's to change your mindset, then from negative to positive, make my ABC your good habit. And that's maybe easier for you. What's difficult is to actually practice it regularly. So as you know, the commitment plan therefore will depend on what you want to achieve. But the commitment is the same and the plan that you have can help you achieve any of your goals. And of course, for me, I tend to start when I'm kind of feeling low or anything's happening. I do start and have on my shoulder my ABC. When your commitment plan becomes your good habit, it actually becomes automatic. So you don't even need to think about it. You don't need to use your willpower and sort of say, right, what do I have to do? You're automatically changing your behaviour before you decide to do something. And by doing this, you are in control of your destiny. You're in control of the future actions you take rather than being a victim of your actions. So that's the first tip. Have this commitment plan. And it can be as easy as the ABC. Because no matter what you're doing or what your goal is, the ABC can get you there because it's changing your mindset. And I think sometimes at the back of people's minds is, that's kind of too easy. I mean, so I just think an affirmation, take breathing and imagine, but actually it isn't. I know it's easy to think that it's too easy, but actually if you practice it regularly, and I have my moments. I think I was chatting last night about, I've had floods of tears over the last kind of couple of months, just something, not all the time, but something triggers something. I don't know whether it's in the air or what it is, but then I quickly just do my ABC, get myself a bit more composed, and then I feel better and much more positive. Tip 2, right, this is, you've got to build the habit of starting. I think that's the problem with kind of procrastination. You see, procrastination is about delaying the start. So before you start to do something, particularly something you might not want to do, or something that's complex, you might or you will be stressed, you're anxious, you're getting yourself into a state, you even find it painful to start. So you just delay that pain. You think, oh, well, I'll just put that off. When you actually take the first small step to start, you'll actually be amazed at how better you feel. It reduces the worry, the guilt, and the frustration because you're then in the middle of the work. So instead of being before it, thinking, no, I don't really want to start, you're actually in the middle of it. And that seems to, I know because I do this, it reduces the pain. I mean, have you ever had, because I know this, sometimes you've got a complex task to do and, I think most of us think, well, I'll do all these other tasks first. But actually, when you actually get started, you really feel good. So how do you start? Well, you need to make the process of starting easier. You've got to make this process easier. Don't worry about the results. Don't worry about, oh, I wonder if it'll all be successful. Because then you're moving yourself into the future again. Put all your energy into building a good habit of start. So instead of, I will start tomorrow, change your mindset. That's why I know I kind of bang on about it, but the affirmation, the A of the ABC is the 3 Ps. Personal, so you're making it personal as part of your plan. Positive, of course, and present or past tense. Now for the commitment plan, I would have that as my present tense. I start today. So what I do is I lift my pen. I quite still like writing. I know we're on technology world, but you lift your pen or you can open your laptop and maybe just type the first word of the project. I have actually something to do. Some students have asked for an appeal because they failed, and I'm a moderator for examinations, and they're wondering why they failed. And so I've got to look at these. Now, I don't like when anybody fails, but it's quite complex. I want to give them constructive feedback. And it can be difficult because sometimes you read something and think, oh, this is pretty rubbishy. But you can't say that. You shouldn't say that. You have to be positive and say, well, maybe they could have done it a different way. Particularly at this level, they're professional students. And a lot of them are asked to critically evaluate something. So sometimes it can be as simple as they have all the facts, but they've put them down in a bullet point or a list. And of course, that isn't critically evaluating anything. So maybe they just need to know how to critically evaluate, and then they will pass the next time. So again, getting them to change the way they're answering a question. I know when I've had writer's block, and I know others who have writer's block, and it's interesting here, but one tip is actually just to start, and I love doing it with an actual pen and paper, but just start doodling, start writing. Oh, I don't know what to write. I don't know what today is. I think I've got an idea, and just writing silly words, any words, and all of a sudden it fires you up and you get writing something. And it's amazing actually what you'll find you're writing. So another thing is do something creative. So lots of us, the doodling or the painting or reading, I hope you're, reading maybe My Changing Seasons of Life, some of the stories, but it gets your creative juices flowing and suddenly you'll be inspired and motivated. And I would say use my A as your intention to take action. So this is a tip here. You've got to have this commitment and then the intention to take action. And of course, what I would do is, hi there, Alan, just give a wee wave there. What I would do is you've got to, it's just a tip I have, but when you're not used to maybe the ABC, well, even if I am used to, I would do this, but write down your affirmation or write down on your achievement board, inspiration board, or a post-it note, one affirmation that could be, I exercise for 10 minutes every day at 8. Now, write that in your journal, on a post-it note, on a diary. When you have it there, you're showing yourself the intention to take action. Now, actually, research shows, they did a study with some employees in an organisation, and the ones who they were asked to write down the specific date and time that they planned to do something, a particular task. They had to write down the date and the time. And when the employees that did that, they were significantly more likely to follow through to actually doing that task. So that's a good thing to do. Schedule a time for starting. Write it down. Say your affirmation. Have it on a post-it note. Walking the dog, 8 a.m., every day, whatever. So when you're actually focusing on a time, you're going to do it. Of course, don't beat yourself up if you maybe don't meet that time one day, but I think it just gets you into that automatic mode. I mean, we'll brush our teeth every day and every night. So it's a routine. If you're fortunate enough to have been brought up that your parents or carers are saying you need to keep brushing your teeth, look after yourself, then that's what you will do. And it's a time when you automatically do it. Kind of nobody really needs to remind you as an adult. You just go and do it. So I recommend that it's definitely worthwhile taking these tips, to build on these tips, to develop your commitment plan. So when you create your good habits by writing down your intentions to be committed, particularly making the start date and the time specific, then you will start. You won't procrastinate. And the Greeks had a term for this as well. They called it, I think I've got it right, I don't know how it's pronounced in Greek, but enkrateia, and that's the opposite of akrasia. Enkrateia means to take control over yourself and what you do. All these lovely useless bits of information, but you can maybe bowl friends over by saying, I'm an enkrateia, whatever. And they'll go, she's lost her marbles. But you know yourself what it means, and that you know to start. Now, as you all know, I try to turn anything negative into positive. So I recommend you kind of head over to the blog, because I called it Positive Procrastination. I was kind of fed up hearing, this was written in 2015 actually. And it was interesting. There was just a whole lot of information on people delaying things and not doing things. And, it came about, I wrote the blog because it came about because I didn't know where to start or which job to do first. I had a lot to do at the time. And of course, what I often do is I didn't start any of them. So I began tidying the house, decluttering my desk, even making lists, redoing lists and more. Do you do this? I do, because I sometimes think, well, I need a clear space before I start. And tidying away makes you feel good. It certainly sometimes doesn't actually make you start the job that you need to do. But if you read my blog, there's a bit in it that says there's such a thing as structured procrastination. And this is where you do lots of other things by not doing other things. So you're doing lots of jobs, but not doing other things. Anyway, one thing's for certain, when you commit to starting, you feel better and motivated to continue. You've got a positive mindset, ready to achieve any deadline. Now, of course, if you find it challenging to meet a deadline, don't bury your head in the sand. If you really can't meet a deadline, particularly at work, please communicate that. It's this lack of communication that causes problems. So you need to communicate to whoever to say, look, I'm not going to reach that deadline, but give an idea of when you can. You see, I know I'm one of these people. If you post something up tomorrow to say, could you possibly do this? I've got something coming up at Christmas time. In my head, I think, well, we're in March, nearly into April, that's December. Yeah, that's fine. What do? I'll wait until November. And then I think, oh, and I get set to and I do it. So there's something, I push myself. So it's kind of, I work better, I think, under pressure. But I always reach the deadline. So if there's a deadline at the end of the year, I'll wait, but until a few months maybe before it. But I will work even through the night to reach that deadline. So it's not really a good idea if you don't like a lot of stress. I mean, I call it like my positive stress, but sometimes I'm maybe kidding myself. But if you don't like a lot of stress, then try and pace yourself really. But I think we need a bit of adrenaline. I think we need positive pressure rather than stress. So if you are a procrastinator, I hope my tips have helped you and my blog. Read it, and that will help you think that procrastination doesn't need to be as negative as you think. It can be a positive way, a constructive way of thinking as well. And of course, along the way, use my ABC. I know lots of people are now, and they're saying that they really help because it's now in their heads. So if anything's happening around your world to create chaos, to upset you, you can take yourself into the wee world of ABC. But I'm thinking as a child, that's the kind of first thing you're sort of learning, isn't it, to do your ABCs. So for today, what will the ABC be? I start my task, and I should need to be saying this to myself, I start these appeals today at 2:00. So I need to write that down, and it's in my head, and I start. Make the affirmation up, of course, that suits you. So if it's to do with weight loss, to do with, well, anything really. If you're delaying any task, just say, I start my task today at 3:00 or tomorrow at 8 a.m. and try and give yourself a specific date and time. And of course, remember the 3 Ps. Of course, breathe as well. So when you're thinking about this, just take a deep breath, because if you've got some task, a specific thing to do, you might be getting worked up. So you need to calm, relax, and energize yourself to get going. So the deep breathing just increases your lung capacity, and you really feel good. And today, the Mind Bites, my main mindfulness meditations, I was thinking probably I'll just do maybe the tree one, where you can just gain strength from nature, gain strength from the tree, the energy of a tree. If you can actually hug a real tree, just imagine yourself just soaking up its energy. So if we want to just do the meditation now, and we can have our feet on the ground and close our eyes. And this meditation now, I'm calling it, it can be the oak tree or just the tree, a large tree, because this helps give you strength, give you confidence. And of course, you need strength and energy and confidence to be motivated to actually start the task. So it will reduce or even stop procrastination. So I want you've got your eyes closed, your back straight, sitting against the chair, and your feet on the ground. Now take a deep breath in through the nose, hold, and then exhale. Now imagine yourself in the countryside. You're surrounded by nature. Beautiful fields, cornfields, grassy meadows, whatever you want it to be. You're walking across a lovely meadow or a field. The air around you is pure. So take a moment to breathe in the air. Let it fill your mind and body. It makes you feel good. Now you look up, and in the distance there's a large, solid tree. You're drawn towards it. It has strong branches stretching out. Some are swaying in the light breeze. Walk on and sit down beside the tree. Lean against the trunk of this tree, this large tree. You hear the rustling of the leaves in the branches. Rest your body and mind. Feel the strength of the tree flow into your mind and body. Feel its energy flow into your mind. Say to yourself, I am strong, I am confident, I feel safe, I have the courage to do anything, I am strong. Rest for a while against this strong tree. Feel the energy and strength flow into your body and mind. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. Take another deep breath in, breathing in the strength and the energy of nature, filling your mind and body with strength and energy. Take another deep breath in through the nose, hold, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. Let all negative thoughts leave your mind. Now slowly open your eyes and say to yourself, I am strong, I am positive, I can achieve anything I want. And then just relax, yawn, stretch your arms, just bring yourself back into the now. I hope that helps, because we need just time for ourselves, a couple of minutes or so, just to feel we are strong and you're confident, strong individuals that can tackle anything. And I'm going to tackle the appeals this afternoon. I'm not going to procrastinate anymore. And I've got a deadline. The deadline is the 6th of April. So I need to do it because tomorrow is the 1st of April. Maybe look out for some April Fools. The one I remember, and most of you will be too young to remember this, but with the spaghetti growing on trees. I loved that one. So many people phoning garden centres to buy a tree that would grow spaghetti. Loved it. So look back that one on YouTube if you want. It was really fantastic. Anyway, I'll be back on Friday morning. The title for Friday, thank you to the suggested title. I think it was Lynn. I've done the topics before, but I think there's no harm in, it's always worthwhile repeating topics. And Friday's one is about overthinking, but it's focused more on the tips to stop or to reduce the stress and anxiety that comes from overthinking. So that's Friday. But if you've got a title for the future, any future videos, I'm doing these, continuing to do these on a regular basis on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 o'clock. So please private message me, post on Facebook, private message me, or send me an email, pat@mindcircles.co.uk. I got sidetracked there a bit by Sarmed. Thank you very much, Sarmed. I love hugging trees as well. We're not, there's some of us, we're tree huggers. Why not? Nature is wonderful. So go out and hug a tree. You'll really feel good. My latest radio interview is going to be aired on Easter Friday, and I'll let you know the link so you can listen. As always, it'll be focused on well-being. But for today, as always, smile. What are my 2 tips? Smile and laugh. They cost you nothing. And boy, do they make you feel good and everyone else round about you. There's too many people all wanting to frown. So smile and laugh. Cost you nothing, and they're fabulous. And virtual hugs to you all. Thank you again for listening and watching. And it inspires and motivates me to know that people are listening and watching. Thank you again, and have a fabulous day until Friday. Bye for now.